Hello and welcome. Thank you folks for joining us today for our Inspiring a Data Culture Through Looker Applications webinar. My name is Candace Riddle. I'm the Alliances Manager here at Looker, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's presentation. We also have Jawad Lakari on the line, and he's the CEO of Data Driven, who will walk through Looker applications which can create customer personas from e-commerce data. We're just about to start, but I want to go over a few quick housekeeping items before we get started today. We're going to have a few Q&A sessions throughout the presentation, and then again at the end, we'll have about 15 minutes for Q&A. So if you want to ask a question, you can submit your questions using the box at the bottom of your screen and click send. We'll do our best to answer all those questions at the end of our presentation and throughout the various segments. This presentation is being recorded today, and we'll be sending out the recording after it's over. So with that, let's get started.
Thanks, Candace. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everybody. As Candace mentioned, my name is Jawad. I run Data Driven. We're an analytics company, a Looker partner, and we're really excited about Looker applications, and we really think that it's really is going to change the game for how people interact with BI. And so we wanted to, tell you a little bit about the work that we've done and share our experience and hopefully get you folks excited about it as well. So I'll jump right in. And specifically, we're going to look at how these applications are really a great way for broadening data culture at your company. So, data experiences in Looker currently, there's a bunch of ways to create data experiences. So the, tried and true is our, Looker dashboard, and it's a great place for, the business user to interact with the data in a very dynamic way. They are able to, filter, to create many custom reports. Chaining these dashboards together are a way of telling actionable data stories, and it really allows people to sort of really dive into the data. Another great way is the Explore page, and that's another piece of vocabulary in this sort of data experience. And it, allows, I think it was one of the really big differentiators on the BI market, because it really lowered the bar, the activation energy required to do complex analytical work. Somebody that is not technical can come in here, never write SQL, and then just really slice and dice the data a million different ways, see the data visualized inside and outside, and really, dig into their business and really understand new insights. A more recent addition to the roster of data experiences available in Looker are boards, and boards are really sort of a kind of a Pinterest for analytics. And what's really interesting about them is that they're trying to expand the data language for creating these experiences, through through pinning the different dashboards and looks that would be relevant to a given company. And so I think boards are actually really interesting, and we use them a lot for our customers, and we see them getting used a lot as well. And one of the ways that they are very useful is that you can create a data, you can create, for example, a board per use case, a board per department, a board per project, and it's a great way of starting to collect different pieces of content from across your Looker instance, or from across your company, to sort of create a one-stop shop of for one of these use cases. And it in some sense may seem like a very simple feature, but I think is actually an extremely powerful feature for creating these experiences. And one of the reasons that I think this is so interesting as well is that it was one of the first features in Looker, aside from Looker applications, that allowed users to create a sort of end-to-end experience for their company that wasn't limited by the dashboard and the Explore. So I think boards are great, and the three that we just saw, dashboards, explorers, and boards, are powerful data experiences because they hit on these sort of three high-level items. First, they allow to democratize the data access. So by making it so that non-technical people can access, data at scale, running very complicated queries with, not knowing a lick of SQL just by navigating an intuitive interface makes all the difference in the world. The second thing that these three current data experiences do is they solve a real business need. They're allowing people to explore their intuitions, to gather insights about their company, to find problems, to detect trends, to stay up to date. So they're very powerful in that respect. And, the sum of those two things mean that anybody can now be an analyst. Sort of it used to be that the analysts were a team of people that were dedicated to, trying to understand data for the company, but now sort of this is within everybody's reach, which is really, really quite powerful. And, I think the reason why, the reason that these data experiences are so important for creating a data culture at your company is that they are the means by which you're empowering your team. And you want your team to truly be empowered to use analytics. It makes all the, sort of preaching to the choir if you're sort of listening to me right now. But being a data-driven company, I think, is essential, for a company these days. And I think that the only way to do it is to have sort of everybody at the company sort of be involved at the ground level. And that can be a challenge because, it can be daunting. And so you want your team to be confident. You want them to sort of feel at ease in the tool and feel like that if they have a question, they can sort of self-serve the answer. You want them to be independent. You want them, one of the challenges that we solve a lot for companies is sort of trying to navigate different bottlenecks, data question answering bottlenecks in the company. And again, I think that's why sort of the Explore page was so innovative in the market, and sort of being sort of a self-service Explore interface for people. And then people, to be empowered, need to feel like they're an expert. They need to feel like they, that everything that they're doing is sort of within their, their grasp of technical domain, that they feel at ease with it. And so I think that's creating a powerful data culture is about lowering the activation energy required to do analytics. That these tools for data experience that Looker has in their product are very powerful and sort of allow you to achieve that. And, as I sort of mentioned, data experiences is really just one part of this cycle of promoting data culture. We need these sort of physical features and tools and improvements because those are the things that are going to really allow users to feel empowered and collaborate. And, once people are collaborating both online and offline, then they're sort of gathering those insights that are really driving your business forward and allowing you to sort of, continuously improve. And when we talk about, these words, data-driven company, like, they're not just hollow words. They have a really true meaning, and they really make a big difference in how, whether your company will be successful or not. And so I think, one of the responsibilities for companies like Looker is to always try to innovate and create new data experiences that can be integrated into a company to sort of promote data culture. And then I think also, the responsibility is also on us as sort of like users of Looker to also try to get the most out of these tools and try to, promote it from within. And so, like I said, I'm glad that all of you are with us today to share in this. So, we talked here a little bit about sort of what was in the past. So, Looker Explorers, dashboards, Looker blocks, which is sort of like this first sort of attempt at creating Looker applications and boards. And then the question is, okay, well, what is the next step in the Looker product sort of in these data experiences that are going to be there to promote data culture? And there are Looker applications. And so before I'm gonna stop at sort of these big blue slides. If anybody has any questions, feel free, as Candace said, to just drop them in the chat, and I'll take this opportunity to see if there's anything that people wanted to chat about. Don't think so. No problem. Okay, great. So we're gonna keep going. So the sort of new kid on the block is Looker applications. So what are they? So they're a website. So a Looker application is some code, JavaScript code, LookML kind of bundled together in kind of an app. And this code is running securely inside of Looker. And so that's actually a really big difference, a really big differentiator with respect to really anything else on the market, is that it allows a developer or a company to build a tool that lives inside of Looker in a way that you don't need to have people register. You can access the API. And really create these custom experiences. So here I've got a couple of examples of what that looks like. The screenshots are probably a little small, but just wanted to show you that you see the Looker bar at the top, and then there looks like there's just like a whole website kind of like living under it. And these websites are the Looker applications. It's sort of like like one of those Russian dolls. It's sort of like a website within a website. So how do you get them? So it's a website. They're sort of these applications. You run them inside of Looker. How do you get them? Well, Looker conveniently has a marketplace that is already live and has been live since the beginning of Q1. And that marketplace you can sort of find by going to the upper right-hand corner of a Looker instance and hitting the little marketplace icon. And in that marketplace, you're going to find a bunch of stuff. You're going to find visualizations that you can install. You're going to find, the marketplace is like an app store. You can find visualizations that you can install. You can find, Looker blocks, which are sort of like chunks of LookML that you can sort of add. And LookML, for those who aren't familiar, is the modeling language for Looker. And then also you can install applications. And just like on your iPhone, you just go in, hit install. You have auto updates, and so from then on, it's very easy. If you are building your own application and you don't want it, it's not yet, you don't want to put it in the marketplace, or it's not ready to be put in the marketplace, you can actually install them manually yourself through a Looker project that you host. So how do you get them? In a marketplace, or you can install them yourself, and you can do that right now. This feature has been live for a couple months. So I promise this will be the only technical slide. Why are they? What are some of the great advantages from a technical side of Looker applications? So the first thing is that it is a secure sandbox. So you're living inside of Looker. You have secure access to the Looker API. Users don't have to log back into a second service. It's sort of just a native augmented experience inside of Looker, and a native sort of augmented and self-contained experience inside of Looker. From a technical standpoint, Looker has done a lot of work in terms of making it much easier for developers to kind of jump into this. So, they have a bunch of off-the-shelf components that you can sort of use to wire together your apps very quickly. They have a bunch of open source examples of varying different levels of complexity to sort of get you off the ground, with a hello world as quickly as possible. So those are great in terms of development experience. And another great thing is sort of like the no user management. So one of the headaches with data, one of the headaches with sensitive data, company data, and not even talking about HIPAA compliance and all those things, is managing the security of it is very can be very difficult. And so Looker has already solved this problem, and you get to create complicated applications sort of relying on that as well, which is great. So why as a business should you do this? Well, first, as we talked about before, this is a great, we'll sort of be demoing what what these experiences actually feel like in a couple minutes. But the idea that we're really providing a new data experience that's very rich to your users, and that's really going to promote those tenets of improving a data culture. Other advantages are that because you're building on top of Looker, you're building on top of model data already. So all of that really tough work of wrangling your data, ETL process, modeling it, is data that is work that you can leverage again and very easily. So and I find actually that the interplay here is that your engineers and your analysts are separate humans, usually. And the engineers now can build an application, but don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of the data modeling, because the data modeling has already been modeled. The data has already been modeled by the analyst. So that's a really, really, I think, big distinction. You can create custom experiences far beyond what Looker has already given you in terms of dashboards and looks and explorers and boards. Because it's a website, you can literally build anything that you want. And as you'll see today in the two demos that we'll give, you'll see that they're two very different. One is data science, one is microlearning. They're two very different looks and feels and approaches and experiences. Another advantage is, there's now going to be a community with the marketplace. You will be able to, promote yourself and your company, promote its values of openness and data inclusivity by building a great app and putting it on the marketplace and letting other people use it. And then you will be able to get that back by, using other people's apps and leveraging that. So I think these are going to be really powerful in terms of just unlocking more value from the platform. Another big advantage, as I mentioned before, is that you already have, we work with companies that have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people on Looker, and you can now build an application that already has access to those users and has access to that model data. Very much like the reason the app, the Apple Store was obviously such a boon for phones, was that it gave access to this giant, large pool of people. And so this, you have an immediate audience inside your company for these applications. Great. So I'm going to jump into the first demo. But before I do that, I wanted to see if there are any questions.
Yes, we have a couple, Jawad. Somebody asked, how do you chain dashboards? Which you might answer, I guess, coming up here.
Yeah, so I'll answer that two ways. I'll answer that in the current Looker way, and then the Looker applications way. So in the current Looker way, you can chain dashboards a couple different ways through links between them, through these things called drill fields, through link tags, and a bunch of things. So Looker already has this concept of creating data, actionable data experiences by creating a path through dashboards. I would say a board is one way of chaining dashboards together as well. But I think maybe the intent of the question is, what happens when the experience I want to provide through a sequence of dashboards, a chain of dashboards, is not adequate. You're trying to do something more complex, or you're sort of trying to lead your user down a path that requires that. And I think that's exactly where Looker applications kind of come in. And so I'll be curious to see whoever asked that question, if after the first demo, maybe you have a follow-up question about sort of like how a Looker application might work well for your use case. Candice, any other questions so far?
Yes, there was one more. What applications are available in the marketplace?
Great. So currently, I think Looker is going to do a big launch starting in Q2. But in the marketplace already, there's several applications that are built by Looker. There's a sales one that's sort of based off of Salesforce, a marketing one, and a web analytics one. So there's already great stuff for people to use immediately, and to get a lot of value off the shelf value is sort of already there. And like I said, I encourage everybody, if you're already a Looker user, to just jump in and hit install and check it out and see what it looks like. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the demo. So I'm gonna share my screen Great. So just a quick confirmation, Candice, everybody can see my screen? I'm going to assume yes.
Good to go.
Cool.
Good to go.
Great, perfect. So what are you looking at here? So here you're looking at a Looker application. Here it is in the wild, ready to go. And, a couple of things to notice here. How did I get to it is the first question. I got to it by coming here into my browse menu. And if you go to your browse area, you'll see that I have three things here. I have Sales Analytics, which is the one of the applications that you can install right away in the marketplace. And this was created by Looker. And then you can sort of see the two other Looker applications that we'll be talking about today. Customer Segmentation, which is the one that we'll demo immediately, and then Data-Driven University, which is sort of our second one. So I'm inside Looker. Everything is as I expected. I just get these three new links. So I click on this link and I get to this page, and basically everything under the Looker navigation bar is stuff that we wrote at Data Driven. And so let me put the problem up there. So the problem that we're trying to solve with this Looker application is data science is hard, and data science requires both often very specialized tools like code and machines, specialized humans who have all this knowledge of how to do this analysis, and it's not easy for a person who is who is technical but not sort of a coder to really do anything. Is that it lowered the activation energy required to get the most out of most of analytics, and I think Looker applications is a great place to inject a lot of data science applications, because your development team can write the code once that can now be leveraged by everybody at the company who are non-technical kind of going forward. And so we really thought that this would be a great first element to showcase. So what are we actually doing in this application? So this is a customer segmentation example, and we're using a mock data set, e-commerce data set, of products and orders and customers who are making orders. And the goal here is to try to understand our customers better. And one of the ways that we want to understand our customers better is we want to take their orders and we want to group the orders of the different customers together to try to find customer personas. Is there some, are there people that are just buying umbrellas? Are there people that are just buying beauty products? Are there people that are just buying technical, gadgets? Because if you could bunch all those people together, then you could, have a marketing campaign associated with them. And so, with this, the data sciencey part of this is we are taking all the products, we're taking all of their descriptions, and we are grouping products that have similar descriptions together. And then we are taking all of the orders, and then we are sort of looking at them through the lens of these groups of products to try to categorize the users. So I know there was a lot, and I'll kind of go through these individually in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this on sort of like the result here, which is this customer segments. And one really important thing to notice here is, so here, what are you looking at? You're looking at a list of radar charts. And the way to read these radar charts is that every axis here is sort of like some normalized measure. So for example, this first here, I can see this cluster of people. The count is low, the minimum order is low, the max order is low, the average, the sum. So these are people that aren't buying much, and they tend to buy from these categories, with a predominance of this category 0 and this category 1. So this is how you read this chart. And the idea is that as a business user, I should be able to come here and look at these charts and say, oh, look, I've got a bunch of clusters of users, and I'm detecting these patterns of purchase behavior. And these patterns of purchase behavior are very interesting. Like, look at this. Like, who are these users? They're buying a lot from category 3. And kind of a lot from category 1, but nothing in 2, nothing in 4. And these are some of the people that are buying the most at the company. They're buying max number of orders. The sum total of all the orders is the highest. So this cluster 9 here seems very interesting to me as a sort of a business user. So this is how you sort of read these charts. But what happened here, which is sort of like really, I think, innovative, that Looker allowed us to do here is, we did this by, when this page loaded, it went and it grabbed all of the order information, all the product information, all of the data in the database. It did it through the Looker API, so through that modeling layer. And then here in the application, we chugged on it. We did a bunch of data science stuff. We did some clustering, et cetera. And then we're able to output these. So this is sort of like a live. This is not a stock analysis. This is a live analysis, and as we'll see in a second. So this is sort of like the goal here is to look at these radar charts and to look at the different clusters. And as I said, how did we come up with these clusters? Well, these are people who bought products that we think are similar. Well, how do we figure out what products are similar? So the way we did it is I'm clicking here on the left-hand sidebar to this product categories. The way we did this here is that we took the products and we clustered them based on the words that are in the description of the products. So here it looks like you can sort of see this cluster that was, by the way, automatically generated on the fly. Seems to really be around things you wear, like bracelet, necklace, sort of tend to be kind of like the big elements in here. And this visualization is really just helping us understand what the machine magic generating these clusters, and this sort of visualization allows us to understand what's going on. So this second cluster seems to be around decoration, Christmas, design. This one is very stark. It's polka dot umbrellas, folding polka dot umbrellas, garden. So this seems like an outdoors kind of a thing. So we are trying to group our customers together by grouping them by products that they have bought that are similar. We determine what products are similar by figuring out what the different, by looking at the descriptions. And so, so this is great. This is really interesting. But I think one of the, this makes this a data report, not a data experience yet. And I think what makes this a data experience is putting into the hands of a non-data scientist the ability to actually kind of war game this, to sort of say, oh, okay, well, what is, what happens when I change this variable and this variable? And so here we have a couple of examples of doing that. And so, one of the things that we can do here is we can change the threshold for creating these clusters. And so, the important point I want to make here is that I'm not a technical, actually I'm technical, but imagine I wasn't a technical person. I can come here and I can, change this threshold. So this might be some variable that your data scientist might be tweaking in code. But here now, because of the language that this Looker application affords me, I'm able to sort of see what happens when I change this threshold. So here in this graph, I'm seeing every word and every description. So here's beach. It's been used 7 times. Here is polka dot. It's been used 71 times. And I can figure out that any word that is under the threshold is not going to be considered for grouping products together. And so what's really interesting is I can go here and I can change it. So let me go to the extremes. Let me try to say, let me say that only these things that are occur very frequently do I want to care about. And so when I hit run, I've reclustered all the products live. So these are the new product clusters based on that much more limited set of target keywords, product keywords. And I can say, oh, that's interesting. So when I do this and I limit the set, what happens to my customer segments? Are they exhibiting a different pattern? Oh, that's interesting. Like, you sort of like start kind of trying to detect trends in here and understand what's going on. Again, if I sort of go down the other way and sort of like include a lot of word and include that long tail, hit run, you can also sort of see what happens here with the clustering. So now there's more words. And so you can sort of, every company is different. Every product category is different. Every e-commerce site is different. And so by allowing, and every problem you're trying to solve is different. So by allowing the end user to have a means of controlling the analysis and figuring out what happens when, you can really, make this go from a static report to really a true data experience. I'll give you another example of tweaking sort of this expansion. So, you might say, oh, that's interesting. So we have, 11 clusters, but should I have 11 clusters? Should I have, 2 clusters? Should I have 20? It's hard to know, right? But there is a way to know. There's a score that you can give to clusters, and it's called a silhouette score. And I won't go into too much detail, but basically, the higher the score, the closer to 1 it is, the more the clusters are really separate. And so for marketing, for example, you would really want to say, men 18 to 24, I want to target. You want to sort of have the narrowest, highest impact targets for marketing purposes. And so, here for this analysis, I can start wargaming this. I can say, oh, okay, so, live, we ran numbers and we scored the different clusters. And it turns out that, 3 clusters, and this sort of like intuitively makes sense. Like a small number of clusters is going to be very fuzzy. And if there's too many clusters, then you're not really grouping anybody together. And so here it turns out that 10 is good. So, we can come here and we can change that to 10, and we come back here and we run the results, and you'll see there's 10 clusters here. So this is sort of the first kind of experience that we wanted to share with you. And as you can see, this is an experience, to quickly recap, this is a Looker application. It's website code written in JavaScript that we sort of bundled and installed inside of Looker. It's doing these data science functions by interacting directly with the Looker API and getting the data out of your database through the API in a fully modeled fashion. All of this analysis is running live right here inside of Looker. And one of the most important parts is that you can war game it. You as the end user can actually, who is non-technical, who is not a data scientist, can go and start tweaking this and trying to understand. The goal of this kind of a thing is like a marketing person should be able to use this and be able to sort of get value out of this analysis without having to go through engineering and go through analytics to be able to get a question answered. Great. So I am going to jump to our next demo. And I do see that there is one question. Any suggestions for getting goals into Look so I can compare actuals to our targets? Well, so I think that for that particular question, there is a existing Looker way to do it through dashboards and explores, and as well as a Looker applications kind of answer to that question. So, maybe I'll quickly answer the first and move to the second. So, the ways that I have done the actuals to targets is things like a Google Sheet that will go to your data warehouse, create a view around it, and make it, and have sort of a bar graph and, sort of compare the data that way. And that's great. And actually, I've done that for many customers. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll pile on that, Jawad, and just say that that's actually something that we do here internally at Looker as well. We use the instance of Looker to set our quarterly goals for sales revenue, and then compare that throughout the course of the quarter to see many different things, everything from health of pipeline being, deals that are turned over to qualified to closed out of the pipeline, to the attainment both against quarterly and annually goals for our sales force. So it can be used in a lot of different ways. We also have partners in the network and customers who don't necessarily maybe use it for goals, but they use it maybe in an operations sense as well for dashboards where they have certain SLAs or KPIs that have to be met internally for operations. And they'll build some looks and dashboards around those KPIs with the specified thresholds. And then, you can, on the back end of that, within the semantic layer, define the data points that you want brought into that and use that to monitor against those thresholds and that performance. So a lot of different ways to use the dashboards in terms of thinking about goals.
Yeah, that's great. And the, I would say the Looker applications kind of answer to that is, if you're trying to do something very different and require sort of like a visual vocabulary or an interactive vocabulary that's different than what the dashboards can afford you, then maybe you are writing a custom application to sort of do goal tracking. Because it's code and, it can now sort of do anything that you want. There's another question here that's sort of related, and so I'll jump into that, which is somebody asked, why did you need Looker for this application that I built? And couldn't I have written this on top of a data warehouse itself? Explain the value add. That's a great question. In terms of the raw analysis, yes, of course, I could have dusted off my SQL. I could have opened up a connection to the data warehouse. I could have written some code locally in Python or whatever, pull the data, run the analysis, and have my answer, quote unquote. The challenge is that, how do I give that analysis to you? What if you're not technical? What if you don't know how to run SQL? So, this Looker application example here is not geared towards a data scientist. A data scientist already is doing this and is, already very proficient in these kinds of analyses. The value add here is sort of like the same reason why people left Excel to go to Looker is the same reason why I think people will go to Looker applications to do work. And the reason is the democratization, that you can now create a data experience for end users who are not technical. And so if I'm not technical, I have no idea how to write this on top of the data warehouse. I don't even know what that means. All I know is, I need data for my job, and I know how to log into Looker, and I know my business really well, and I know my field very well, but data science is not one of those things. And so here the value add is to say, here's an analysis that anybody at the company can now use. So you could have never seen a radar chart. You could have never you'll notice I use the word clustering. K means clustering 0 times. I just broke my rule. I just use it once. But you don't even need to know how the things are happening under the hood. And I think that's what really makes this a big difference in terms of democratizing it. So to me, the value add is, to reiterate, is having non-technical people be able to run this analysis. I think that the second value add is that this analysis is easier once you run it on modeled data. So not connecting to the data warehouse directly, but going through the Looker API is very, very useful, because the warehouse tends to be very dirty and chaotic. And, we want to be able to bring order to that through modeling. That's why the Looker ML is so powerful. And so once you have determined, once you've modeled out what net revenue is, why do I, as a data scientist or as a developer, need to go back and try to recreate that? So I hope that answered it. If it didn't, feel free to drop another question and learning site. So here, I'll present to you the use case quickly, and then I'll kind of give you a tour of this. So the goal of this application is to help people learn Looker, and what it does. This is a product that we have called Data Driven University. That's an e-learning platform, and we find that people learn well when they learn by doing, and when you give them sort of micro-learning. So when you don't make somebody sit for 3 hours on a lecture, but you sort of give people information, 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time, show them how to do it, and then going from there. And so we strongly believe in that, and we've worked with many companies trying to working with them to train their users to use Looker, and we find that creating a platform that is role based, so that helps people do their job, not try to learn everything about analytics. A marketing person is going to have a very different needs than a finance person. Has a curriculum, so actually has steps that you go through to learn. You don't learn by going. You go to college, right? They still haven't replaced college with Wikipedia, because having a curriculum is very important. And then the last part is reporting, so understanding who's doing what that impact was in people's usage of Looker, so that ultimately, as a business owner, you can improve your ROI. So that's kind of the setup. And so we were really interested in sort of Looker applications as a vehicle for this kind of experience, because we first want to meet users where they are. So if you're trying to teach Looker, I mean, what better place than inside of Looker, which is very powerful. The other reason is that because we are inside of Looker, we can also do things like the learn by doing part. We can, this Looker application can actually also bundle explores and views. And so we can have examples and quizzes that are powered by data that we essentially bring with us with the with the Looker application. The third part is sort of like authentication. Like, you didn't have to, sign up for our service. You basically, your administrator installed the application, and then people now can start using it, and it's secure, and the barrier was low to get people to get going. So I'll give you a little bit of a tour here of the application to give you a sense of kind of like what kind of an experience you could build. So as much as the first one is really sort of, this sort of was more sort of like a tool internally that you may use. This one has sort of gotten more of that external tool feel. So, so this is the website. So as you can sort of see, it really feels like a website inside of a website. You get to it by going here to Data Driven University. And, here what you're looking at is I'm on a course page. I'm on one of the courses, which is, what's new in 7.4, which is the new version of Looker. And you want to know things like, what are some of the new dashboard beta features? So here I'm like watching a short video about a feature about Looker, inside of Looker, which is very useful because this is sort of like, you want your users to be able to come down here and sort of see what's new, kind of like checking your Google News feed or your Apple News feed of what's going on inside of Looker and staying up to date. Because we find that actually one of the challenges with Looker is that it's sort of like AWS. They keep adding so many great things that it's in some sense hard to keep up. It's hard to get good at everything. So, we have this idea of courses. Then we, sort of have these sort of like small digestible pieces of content around individual topics. What's really interesting is that, this is my name. This is just to show, this page in terms of Data Driven University is really just showing me sort of like the progress within my learning. So, I've only done 50% of the Data Explorer app. I'm enrolled in 4 courses. But I think in terms of value add for the user and for the application and for Looker is that this application knows who I am and can customize the experience here based on that, which is extremely powerful. And as a developer, makes it very easy. Really the same way that as an app developer for your iPhone, you can sort of, people are just one tap away from using your service. And then, here, you can sort of see sort of on the home page, like, a list of different courses that you might want to use. So I'll show one more little thing here, which is sort of the learn by doing part, which is really fascinating. That is both, a testament to Looker applications and their their flexibility. So, if I go here to a course like Stay Current and I want to know what's going on, there are some things in here that are walkthroughs. And so I'll actually open my little walkthrough drawer. So this is part of our application. And I'm going to do the Explore page walkthrough. So if I come here, you'll notice that I'm on an Explore page, except that now there's these little beacons that are overlaid on top of the experience. And so this is part of that learn by doing, where I'm able to sort of get my user to sort of follow the beacons and learn, oh, this is what this filters area is. Oh, what's this? This is a visualization area. Oh, what's this? This is the raw data area. Oh, I should hit run here. Oh, I can't because I haven't selected anything. Okay, now let me select something and hit run. And so now I've successfully completed my walkthrough. So to summarize, data-driven university is sort of another sort of approach to Looker applications. So it doesn't just have to be sort of one-off things. They can sort of be full end-to-end experiences. They can be deep. They can be sort of depend on the user and sort of connected to actual user accounts. And it can sort of really be fully integrated into the Looker experience. So we're tremendously excited about Looker applications. I think that they're really big differentiator. I think that it just provides a new vocabulary for creating the data experiences that's really unique in the marketplace. And because in some sense it's so flexible, a website within a website, you can do anything. So I encourage everybody to go ahead and try it out. I'll end my presentation there, so I'll stop sharing, and then I'll pause for questions. We've got 9 minutes here for questions, so I'll prompt you folks. So feel free to add a question by interacting there with the presentation and putting it in the Q&A section. And I'll go ahead and I see one question here that I'll read off. How difficult is it to migrate data into Looker dashboards from a legacy SQL Server R2 database? Not hard. So we do this often for customers, migrating from one data store to another. And the quick answer there is either use something like an ETL tool like Stitch or Fivetran or Illuma or Kabula, and they will often have integrations from and to different databases. So, I would say that your 3-step plan to migrating from legacy SQL into a Looker dashboard is actually, let me take everything I just said back. Looker might actually support SQL Server 2008 R2. So if that's the case, then all you have to do is just create a new connection. So you might be done already, actually. Oh, great. Thank you. Candace just reminded me to go to the final slide. Thank you, Candace, for doing that.
Yeah, I think we've got it. It looks like you've got another question, too. Are either of the apps you demoed today available in the marketplace?
They are not. They are not yet, but they will be soon. And, we, I think the data-driven university one, we're obviously sort of, would love to get more people using. And I think for the data science one, we're trying to, figure out if that struck a chord with people and if people are interested. And we'd love to put both of them into the marketplace, and we'll be working with Looker to get those in there. We're really excited as a company about Looker applications, and we're committed to sort of building many more throughout the year, and hopefully you can see them in the marketplace. If you've got any great ideas about a use case that's really relevant to your company and that you would like us to put on our list of things that we're building, I would love for you to contact me or Candace and let us know.
Yep, which I think is there's another question there that relates to, I think, Jawad, is when can I get started building my Looker application?
Oh, great. Immediately. So these are live. Like the demos are live, and we have real humans that aren't me using these right now. And so you don't have to wait for things to be in the marketplace to be able to use them. And you don't have to wait for them to be in the marketplace for you to start building and to start sort of creating these data experiences for your company. Great. Any other questions? Any last minute questions that people have before we give you our salutations. All right.
Not seeing any more come through, so thanks, Jawad, very much for that informative webinar. And then, of course, for those of you on the call, if you do have any additional questions, they're on the final slide, or some additional links and resources that you can link out to if you have any additional questions. So, thanks, Jawad.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for participating.